Hey everyone, Chris here for Thomann Guitars and Basses, and I have the absolute honor of having Bob Taylor here on the channel. We've sat down to talk about 50 years of Taylor and about this beauty, the Legacy series. We'll get into everything, but first,
I can barely wait to get to that.
yeah, exactly, me too.
But,
It's the
but
same.
I'm going to be patient, Chris.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me.
Oh
It's
man,
an
this
absolute
is a pleasure. And Mannheim is, what a nice little city this is.
Yeah,
I really like
it is.
it.
It's full of music.
It's my first time to come to Summit.
Guitar Summit.
And I came here this year before I knew if any Taylor people were coming. It's like, I don't care, I'm coming by myself. I'm going to walk the aisles because I love to meet guitar builders.
Actually,
It's what I love more than anything else.
that's one
meeting
thing I
guitar
wanted to
builders.
ask, because I've seen that, I've heard about that.
And
This is
sometimes there's
beautiful.
somebody that I'll DM them, I'll private message them and go, hi, this is me, and if you need any help, I'd love to give it to you. I love what you do because I have to say that nobody understands what a guitar builder does more than another guitar builder.
Yeah.
I realize that I'm unique in the world in that I know what the shop life is for someone who's making one guitar a week.
Yeah.
And I know what shop life is for someone who has 5 people working for them and they're struggling to make 4 guitars in a week.
Yeah.
And I know what it is when they remodel and tear down their spray booth and the things are a mess and they invested some money because they have some orders and so they grow, but now they have to get more people.
Yeah, it's more
and raise
pressure.
their inspect. And it goes like this. I know that life from one guitar you build on a bench to 1,000 guitars a day that come off the line, and I don't know anybody else that. So I can go to visit a factory sometime, and people go, "Wow, Bob, I don't want you to come because, you're going to stand in the corner and you could see my whole shop. It's not impressive." It's like, I owned that shop. I know that shop. I know that shop. I loved it when I had it. I'm going to love yours too.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, when I walk around the show yesterday, I did a lot of just people like, well, can I tell you the problems I have in my business? Yeah, tell me about it. So I'm like I'm grandpa status now.
That's awesome.
I tell you, child, if you just do this, you'll go the
do
right
fine.
way.
Yeah.
No, I love
Amazing.
that.
This is the Legacy 810E, right? Did I
Yes.
get the name right?
You did get it right.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah. Well, how about if I pick it up? Okay, so this guitar, I made not this guitar, but a guitar exactly like this 49 years ago for myself. We had just started, and in those days, there weren't really a lot of people making guitars with wood binding.
Okay.
And when I started building guitars, when I built my first 3 or 4 guitars, I'm telling you the truth, I'd never heard of Martin. I didn't know there was a Gibson.
Okay.
I had never heard of Fender.
Okay.
It was my own little tiny world. Like I was alive in the world.
Yeah.
And I carved out the idea of making a guitar. By the time I had made this guitar, I knew who Martin was.
Yeah.
And I thought, I want a guitar that's clean like that is made nice. I sold a motorcycle and I bought a Martin B18
Already? Okay.
when I was maybe 19 years old, just about the year that I started Taylor Guitars. And I said, well, this is how Bob Taylor plays a guitar.
You strum it and then you get
And it's
sidetracked.
like, how did they do that?
How's that bracing?
How
Okay.
did they do what? That's so clean. I don't see any glue. How did that happen?
I love that.
And then I met John Larrivee.
Okay.
And the inside of his guitars were
Okay.
just perfect. And so I strived to do that. So I built this guitar, and it became our first model,
Yeah.
the 810. And I still have that guitar today. That's the guitar I've played forever. And so we thought we'd make a legacy series. And, you know, I say that, you know, when you're 18 years old, when you become 18, I think even in Europe, in Germany, it's a different thing. Something happens at 18.
Yeah.
In the
Inside
United
your
States,
head. Yeah.
you can vote, you can join the military, you can have an opinion.
Yeah.
When you're 17 years old and 11 months and 20 days, you're not
You're pushing those thoughts away from you. Yeah.
But you're not 18.
Yeah.
And one day you're the same person, you're the same body, the same mind. You turn 18 and it's different.
Yeah.
And in the US, 21 is another one of those
Yeah, and the big
moments.
step. Yeah.
Well, at 49 years, and I didn't feel like we had a legacy.
Yeah,
But at 50 years, I was like, well, wait just a minute. There's some things that we did a long time ago that we could bring back. So we introduced this, and then our 815 and the 855, the big jumbo guitar with the mustache bridge. There's a few famous pictures of Neil Young playing his. He has it to this day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It got broken recently, and we repaired it without taking any of the
old parts
vintage away from it.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And that guitar, that 12-string, is what kept us alive more than the 810.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who would have thought that a 12-string, which is always somewhat behind a 6-string, one would assume.
Yeah. Well,
does
you know, sometimes
so
I'm
well.
saying you're better to be lucky than smart. And when we started our company, we were in San Diego, and just 2 hours north is Los Angeles, and it was exactly the time when all the music in Laurel Canyon was flowing down that hill into Hollywood and Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And the Eagles and Jackson Browne and Linda Ronstadt and the Mamas and the Papas, you know, and Crosby, Stills, Nash, they were all living almost in the same house. And music began to change. And we would take our guitars and sell them up there because we had this fantastic dealer his name was Fred Wallachy, and he owned Westwood Music, and he's revered like a great grandfather to all of those people still to this day, because he would say, oh, you're a young musician here, take this, go make your music.
Yeah.
Every Friday, come by and give me some money until it's paid off.
Wow.
And he did that to all of those people, and he discovered our guitars, and so people felt the guitar neck on ours, and they said, wow, this is easy to play. And remember in those days, John Denver and Gordon Lightfoot, and even the bands that were playing 12 strings. And Leo Kottke was super popular, and we made a 12-string. People say, wow, this neck feels like a Rickenbacker. And I'd say, what's a Rickenbacker?
I just made it good.
So we made a neck that was easy to play, and we made a tone that wasn't bass heavy.
Yeah.
And the engineers liked it. I'm just saying I was lucky because I didn't know what I was doing.
Lucky.
But when people said, we love the tone of this, we love how it plays, I'm like, yeah, I did that on purpose.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about the bolt-on neck, which is obviously one of the key specs of Taylor guitars. Did that happen because you wanted something that is just more modern and superior, or was it just something that you felt like, hey, let's try it, why not?
I started making a dovetail joint, and I got partway into it, and I said, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. I'm going to work all day with a chisel and a router. I didn't know about the history of guitars. I didn't. And you know, the funny thing, so I'm going to bolt it on. I'm like, why not? Who says I can't? I didn't know. There was no controversy. And I'll tell you, until I bolted a neck on, the dovetail joint wasn't the best joint in the world. No one ever said anything about it. If you go
There was no other options,
yeah,
right?
if you go pre 1975 or six, we started in 74.
Yeah.
You could read about guitars. No one would ever say, "Well, we have a dovetail joint."
Okay.
They never said
There's
that.
no need to name it.
There was no
'Cause it
need to
was
name
the
it.
neck joint.
There was no need to. There was no need to talk about how it's
Yeah.
sounds better or how it's the way it's supposed to be done. And then a competitor came, like a Pepsi to the Coke.
Yeah.
And you know, if there was only Coke, they would never talk about.
Yeah, it's just a thing. Yeah.
It's just a thing.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I've never made a guitar, not even one guitar, with a dovetail
With
joint.
anything else. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it improved with this version
Yeah.
that we came out with on our 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
But the Legacy series has this guitar, the 815 and the 855, the jumbo guitars, and those are the guitars we made, I'm going to say, for the first 20 years. They we had the series, the 500 and the 700 series, but then we have two more guitars in the Legacy series, which is the 514 CE. That was introduced on our 20-year period.
20, yeah.
Okay, so that guitar is the 814 CE, the 514 CE with the cedar top. Those guitars built the Taylor Guitar Company.
Yeah. I mean, if I close my eyes and hear the word Taylor, that's the shape I see immediately.
You know, Chris Martin's a good friend of mine, and he says the Martin Dreadnought is the most copied shape of guitar in the world, and it's a beautiful guitar. Their Dreadnought, ours is different. Theirs is beautiful.
Yeah.
Every time you see a Martin Dreadnought, you're like, well,
Yeah. In its own way, it's perfection. Yeah.
it's perfection.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that the Grand Auditorium cutaway, the anything 14 CE, might be the second most copied guitar shape in the world right now. I'll tell you.
I get it, why.
Do you have time for a story?
Please.
Well, imagine this is a 514 CE.
Okay.
And there was I was at a NAMM show in Nashville, and there was a guy, he's sitting on the stool, just playing like this. And I'm walking by, and he looks up and goes, "Y'all are Bob Taylor, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "I love this guitar, 514. Want me to tell you why?" And I go, "Lay it on me, brother." And he's strumming the guitar. He goes, "Well, I'm a studio musician, and I do this 8 hours a day. And this does this better than any guitar I've ever had." I'm like, "Well, I'll take that compliment."
That is a big one, right? That is a big one.
Well, what happened, again, it's an accident, because the sound of our guitar isn't boomy. If you like that sound, if you start out and you like this sound, you use nice words for it. Oh, it's clear, it cuts through, it's balanced. If you don't like it, you go, it's thin and has no soul. It's the same guitar. It just depends on whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
But engineers liked it in the studio because they could get work done.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes they would mic a guitar for hours trying to get rid of the parts they didn't
overwhelming
want on the ring. And but engineers, I'm telling you, so many engineers bought a Taylor guitar to have in their studio, and then they would go, "Okay, we're never going to get this album done. Here, put this guitar in your lap and play that part.
Do the thing,
and then they would get on with it."
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of what Taylor brought. What I discovered through observation, just making our guitars and selling those guitars, was that a lot of the guitars, the traditional guitars, which I love the sound of them. If I hear Ron Block playing playing his pre-war D18 on a record, I'm like, "Oh, that guitar, that sounds good," But if I were to simplify things, because over the years I've tried to take the complication away from an explanation and just kind of simplify it. What I think, the way I feel about it is the guitars that aren't Taylor before we came along, they play really well with a banjo and a mandolin and a stand-up bass. And a Taylor plays really well with a keyboard and a bass and drums.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different kind of music.
Oh, a very different mix.
And this guitar plays very well that way.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of tailors in a bluegrass circle. Let's say the whole worship leader.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, they're up there, they're playing, you know, a modern sound. Usually, once a band comes in, you don't hear the acoustic guitar anymore.
It's tough, yeah.
And if you have a guitar that has a way to peek through the cracks, then you can hear that.
How would you imagine Taylor guitar being in 50 years' time?
Well, what I hope is that after becoming an employee-owned company, which we are now, which is wonderful and a struggle at the same time, because any succession, no matter how much you try to engineer that to be perfect, there's a loss of some old things and a gain of some new things, which is why I don't retire. Right?
Okay.
Now people say, "What's your life like? Are you retired now?" And I go, "Well, you could say I say every day's a Saturday for me."
Okay. Nice.
Then I say, "But I worked a lot of Saturdays." So I'm there there all the time.
Yeah.
And so 50 years from now, I'm hoping that Taylor can help to just provide good musical sounding guitars to people, that maybe we have discovered more things that we can do with the guitar. In fact, we have discovered more things that we can do with the guitar.
Okay.
So there's things coming soon.
Okay, looking forward.
We're even making improvements and changes on the way our neck goes on a guitar that people are going to like. That you'll never see the difference. You know, this neck joint is radically different than most guitars, but it still comes in the form of a guitar.
Exactly like how you want. Yeah.
And so we've managed that again. 50 years from now, we'll be making Koa guitars out of the wood that we planted. 50 years from now, if I could be the ghost of Christmas past and come into your dream and go to Cameroon and see hundreds of thousands of ebony trees planted and they're all growing and surviving, you know, I like that idea. 50
That sounds
years
very
from
good.
now.
Yeah.
50 years from now, I hope that Taylor will have encouraged more people to plant trees. One of my dreams is that in an urban, like a city landscape, that when trees are planted, that people would be considering what tree it is based on its usefulness at end of life.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're making a lot of guitars right now out of trees that the city that are on municipal property in the city of Los Angeles. Yeah. When we make a Blackwood guitar now, it didn't come from Australia or Tasmania anymore. It came from Northern California streets. Also 50 years from now, the talent, you know, we're here at the Mannheim Summit, and the guitar making talent that's in those 4 floors across the street.
It's beautiful to see.
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
I want guitar makers to be able to make guitars and not have to go get a job.
Yeah.
We all benefit with more guitar makers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Bob, thank you so much for joining us, and have an amazing show.
Thank you so much.
And an amazing next 50 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. And see, of course, down there in the comments, let us know if you have anything on your mind that you want to ask us. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Yeah, that's